Hey, so you're curious about the steps to buying a home? I am so glad you asked this because I have a 3-step process that I like to share. Phase 1, step 1 is simply finding the home you want to write the offer on. The one that is it. Like, this is my forever, or this is my next move. Okay, and prior to that, you've already gotten your approval letter from the lender you trust. So once you found that home, you write an offer on it and wait for the seller's decision. Maybe you've heard of the term multiple offers. Maybe there are other people who feel like this is their forever home and you're competing against those individuals. Well, make sure your offer sticks out like a sore thumb. And there are terms within the offer that can help it to do just that, okay? So you've written the offer, you're waiting for the seller to accept. Once they do, all you simply do is obtain those 3 pieces of funds that we talked about in a previous video. So go back and look at that. And once you've written out those checks, gotten the money orders ready, and you're now ready to negotiate any repair requests that you might have, you're waiting for them to agree to do those repairs. Or they may say, here are some concessions, here are funds, here is money in lieu of those repairs because I don't want to touch the property. Whatever terms you agree to, that's in phase 1. Once that's successfully done, phase 2, right? Phase 2, the one I like to call phase 2, is where you're going back and forth with the lending company that you've hired to make sure that everything is in order. All ducks are in a row leading up to closing. What do I mean by that? I'm glad you asked that. So a lot of times the lender in this phase will start asking you for copies of your bank statements. They'll start verifying your income with employment verifications, all types of things that happen. They'll ask you time and time and time again for those bank statements. And I'm sure you're about pulling your hair out at this point. This is underwriting, and people hate this part because they're going back and forth. The same old, same old. Now, what I will caution you for is if they're asking for bank statements and a bank statement hasn't come out yet, be prepared to ask the teller at the branch to stamp it. They may want to stamp that bank statement showing that it's a certified copy, if you will, that you've retrieved from the bank itself, okay? So anyway, in phase 2, prepare for this, guys. Back and forth, back and forth. Now, good lenders have already asked for a majority of the documents you'll need, and it's minimal. Other lenders wait until this part of the process once you've passed negotiations to really get serious. So be careful about that, okay? Well, that's phase 2. We're getting ready to go into phase 3 and get ready to close. It's only one thing that can make or break a deal at this point. And what is that? That is known as the appraisal. Yes, the appraisal we talked about also in a previous video. The appraiser's job is to come out just to confirm that you're paying a fair price for the home, okay? Now, I'll take about 30 seconds to explain something to you here. If it comes in high, that's your business. You've paid for this appraisal and you might have a little equity in your home. And by high, I mean it's more than the amount you offered on the home. If it comes in right at value, great, everybody's happy, move on to closing and enjoy your house. What happens though if it comes in under, if it comes in lower than the amount that you offered initially on the home? Well, that's a great question. If it does, it's an opportunity. You have 3 options. It's an opportunity to renegotiate. That's where your agent speaks with the other party and confirms that the seller is willing to come down. You could pay the cash difference. Maybe not the first option to go to, but some of you say, hey, this is my house. I've dreamt about it. I got to have this house and I want to make sure I do anything I can to do to get in it. And I don't care about paying less. I'll pay the cash difference. Okay, that's an option. 3, you can simply walk away. You could simply walk away. And at that point, what happens is you can potentially get your earnest money back. Of course, if you followed all the other terms in the contract and it's afforded to you. So make sure you know that once that appraisal happens, that's the reason it's called a make or break, because you're not sure what's going to happen there. And many sellers are on edge at this point. Did my house appraise or did it come in high? How much higher was it? It's an interesting piece of the puzzle here. So let's say it came in at value, over value, and you move on to closing. Well, you get to closing, that's even overrated. You're there for an hour or so and you're filling out hundreds of papers that the lender has sent over. And if you're buying cash, there's no appraisal needed and likely the stack is very small. Okay, so anyway, You're at this point and you're signing. I remember buying my first home and I thought, great, I can move in. I got a U-Haul outside. No, that's not really how it goes. If you're dealing with third-party financing, which is the bank or a loan officer or whoever's supplying the funds, it could take longer. Once you've signed the paperwork, you as the buyer, here in Texas, the seller signs separately, and then you're waiting. You're just twirling your thumbs, just kind of like, when? It could be an hour, 2, 3, 4 later that the lender receives those documents back to confirm all signatures are there, and they issue what we call a funding number. Yep, that's when it's official. Then you can transfer keys and go in and start moving in. So don't be like me. Don't have that U-Haul packed outside thinking that you're about to go move in right away, because I was anxious. And my husband and I were excited. First property several years back, and just didn't know that one component. So be sure you're prepared for that waiting period for funding. That's why you hear the term closing and funding, because closing is the signing of documents. Funding, it's when it's all official. I trust this was helpful. Hit the subscribe button because we'll send new content weekly. All right, talk to you soon. Go buy a house.